You're 26. You've been the cartel's accountant for 4 years. Not the guy with the gun, the guy with the spreadsheet. You were a finance student in Monterrey, top of your class, clean family. Your uncle owed money to the wrong people, and one night, 2 men showed up at your apartment and said you could pay his debt with numbers instead of blood. 4 years later, the debt is paid 10 times over, but nobody's counting anymore. You know where every peso goes. You know which senators take cash. You know which banks look the other way. You know the real names behind 14 shell companies across 3 countries. You are the most valuable and the most dangerous person in the organization who doesn't carry a weapon. You decide to run on a Wednesday, not because of courage, because of a photo. Your boss slides his phone across the dinner table and shows you a picture of a family in Sinaloa. Wife, 3 kids, dog in the yard. He says their accountant tried to switch teams. He says this like he's telling you about the weather. Then he swipes to the next photo. Same house, no family, just furniture and stains. He puts the phone away and orders dessert. He wasn't threatening you. He was just sharing a story. That's worse. Threats mean they're watching. Stories mean they're comfortable. Comfortable people don't suspect anything. You have a window. You don't know how long it stays open. Rule 1. Tell nobody. You learned this from the men who failed before you. Every escape story you've heard inside the organization ends the same way. Someone talked, a girlfriend, a cousin, a priest, doesn't matter. One mouth is all it takes. So you tell no one, not your mother, not your sister, not the woman you've been seeing for 6 months who thinks you work in international trade. You carry the plan like a tumor. It grows inside you silently. Some nights it keeps you awake. Some nights it's the only thing that lets you sleep. Rule 2. Don't change your pattern. The organization tracks behavior before it tracks movement. A guy who suddenly starts going to the gym at different hours or skipping Friday drinks raises more flags than a guy who crosses a border. So you keep everything identical. Same restaurants, same schedule, same complaints about traffic at the Monday meeting. Same jokes with your handler, a man named Solace, who drives you everywhere and reports your movements to people you'll never meet. You smile at Solace every morning. He smiles back. You're both performing. The difference is, you know you're performing, and you're not sure he does. You need 3 things: cash that isn't traceable, a way out of the country, and a head start long enough to matter. The cash is the easiest part, because you're the one who moves it. You don't steal from the cartel. That's a death sentence with a receipt. Instead, you build a ghost, a fake vendor in the books, a cleaning company that doesn't exist servicing a warehouse that does. You invoice $8,000 a month, small enough to hide in the noise. The money routes through 2 accounts and lands in a prepaid card registered to a dead man in Puebla. In 11 months, you stack $88,000, not enough to live forever, enough to disappear. The way out is harder. Airports have cameras. Cameras have facial recognition. The organization has people at every major terminal in the north. Bus stations are watched. The border crossings are obvious. You need a route nobody monitors because nobody uses it. You find it by accident. A cargo shipment you're processing routes through a fishing port in Campeche. Small dock. No scanners. Boats go to Belize, Guatemala, sometimes Cuba. The manifests are rubber-stamped by a harbor master who gets paid to not read them. You check into the hotel as usual. You attend the first meeting as usual. Then, at 9:00 p.m., you walk out the hotel's service entrance wearing a kitchen uniform you stole from a supply closet 3 trips ago and stashed behind a ceiling tile in the stairwell. You take a cab to a bus station on the south side of the city. You pay cash for a ticket to Villa Hermosa under a name that doesn't exist. From Villa Hermosa, you take a local bus to Campe. By the time Solace calls you the next morning for your daily check-in, you're 800 kilometers away, sitting in a fishing village watching pelicans. You don't answer the phone. You drop it in a sewer grate. You feel it vibrate 3 more times before the water takes it. Each buzz sounds like a heartbeat stopping. The boat leaves at 4 a.m., a 40-FT shrimper called La Esperanza. The captain is a 60-year-old man named Don Bayeto, who moves cargo and doesn't ask questions, because questions are bad for business. You paid him $15,000 through a dead drop 2 weeks ago. He doesn't know your name. You don't know his route. You climb into the hull and sit between crates of actual shrimp. The smell is so thick it has weight. The engine starts. The dock shrinks behind you. You watch Mexico disappear into the dark, and you don't feel relief. You feel like a man who jumped off a building and hasn't hit the ground yet. Blyza City. You land at a dock that smells like diesel and rotting fruit. Don Beto nods at you once. That's goodbye. You walk into a city you've never visited with $70,000 on a prepaid card, a fake ID you bought from a forger in Guadalajara 4 months ago, and the clothes on your back. You rent a room above a pharmacy, pay cash weekly. The landlord is an old woman who watches telenovelas at full volume and doesn't care who you are as long as you pay on time. For the first 2 weeks, you don't leave the room. You sit on the bed and listen. Every engine outside could be them. Every knock on a door down the hall could be the beginning of the end. You eat rice and beans from a store across the street. You buy a prepaid phone and call no one. You grow a beard. You stop looking like the man in the photo they're circulating right now across every contact point in northern Mexico. Week 3. You walk to an internet cafe and check the news. Nothing about you. No name, no photo. This means one of 2 things. Either they haven't gone public because they're handling it internally, or they've already found your trail and they're quiet because they're close. Both options taste the same, like metal in the back of your throat. You move Biz City to a village in the south, then to a small island off the coast where the power goes out twice a day and the population is 400. You work at a dive shop. Cash. The owner is a Canadian who came here 20 years ago to escape a divorce and never left. He doesn't ask about your past. Everyone on this island is running from something. That's the unspoken rule. Don't ask, don't tell, just exist. Months pass. The paranoia doesn't fade, it just changes shape. At first, it's a scream. Then it becomes a hum, a low, constant frequency in the back of your skull that never turns off. You scan every new face on the ferry. You memorize the boats in the harbor so you'll notice when a new one appears. You keep a bag packed under your bed. Cash, fake documents, a knife. You can be gone in 4 minutes. You've timed it. You meet a woman. She's from BC, teaches at the island school. She's kind in a way that makes you nervous because kindness feels like exposure. You watch the boat until it's a dot on the horizon. Your hands stop shaking an hour later. This is your life now. Ordinary days interrupted by lightning strikes of terror that leave no mark anyone else can see. You're free the way a man standing in a minefield is free. You can move in any direction. You just can't ever stop thinking about where you step. You never call your mother. That's the part that hollows you out. She doesn't know where you are. She doesn't know if you're alive. You imagine her lighting candles at church. You imagine your sister telling her you're fine. He probably just needed space. You know how he is. They'll wait for you to call. You never will, because the moment your voice touches a phone connected to anyone in your old life, the clock starts again. And this time, there won't be 6 hours, there'll be 6 minutes. Some nights you sit on the dock and watch the water go black. The stars here are different than Monterey. More of them like someone spilled a jar of light across the sky. You think about the man you were finance student, clean hands, a mother who was proud. You think about the 14 shell companies and the senators and the spreadsheets that bought someone a fleet of armored trucks that killed people you'll never know. You didn't pull a trigger. You balanced the books that bought the triggers. The distance between you and the blood is measured in columns and decimal points, but it's not actually distance at all. Nobody escapes the cartel. That's what they tell you inside. It's the first thing you learn, and the last thing you forget. They want you to believe escape is impossible, because belief is cheaper than surveillance. But you're sitting on a dock 2,000 kilometers from Monterey watching stars and breathing salt air, and you're still alive. So maybe they're wrong, or maybe they're right, and this isn't escape. Maybe this is just the longest pause before the ending. You don't know. You'll never know. And that not knowing is the price of the ticket. Somewhere right now, a kid in a finance program is getting a visit from 2 men who need his numbers more than his blood. He thinks it's temporary. He thinks he'll do a year and walk away clean. He's wrong the same way you were wrong. That's a wrap. The story is fiction, but the trap is real. And somewhere right now, a man with clean hands and a dirty spreadsheet is realizing the door he walked through doesn't open from the inside. If this made you think, drop a comment. Subscribe for more.